this lesson, we'll be discussing linear reflections. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to explore reflections from the parent graph with tables, equations, and graphs, and examine the effect of transformations on the slope and the intercepts. So linear reflection means that it's flipping across a line. So it could be the x-axis or it could be the y-axis, but it doesn't change shape. So if it's going across the y, that means it has the same y-intercept, but an opposite slope. So if it was positive slope, now it's negative. If it was negative, now it's positive. When the negative sign is on the outside, it means it's reflecting across the x-axis, which means that the x-intercept is the same, but again, we have opposite slopes. So for example, graph the function, determine the effect. So the first graph, this one, is the parent graph. So that's the one that goes right through the origin. And then the second one, since the x is on the negative is on the outside means it reflects across the x. So it will look something like that. This one is the same question, so my parent graph is going right through the 0, 0, and this time my negative is on the inside, so it's going across the y. Now you should notice that in 1 and 2 they look almost exactly the same, and that's because our x and y intercepts are both 0. Determine whether the reflection is across the x or across the y. My negative sign is on the outside, so that means it's going across the x. If my negative is on the inside, it's going across the y. So this time I'm given a different line, so I need to graph this f of x line. So I'm going to start at 1 and go up 1, right 3, or down 1, left 3. So that's my original line, and then this is my change, and since the negative is on the inside, it's going across the y, so it's up here. I'm going to have the same equation, so my starting at 1, up 1, right 3, or down 1, left 3, is my original graph. And now my negative is on the outside, so it's going across the x, which means it's flipping down here. So making the translation, here's my original graph, and it wants me to write the new equation. So my negative is on the outside, so it's going across the x, so it's going to have the same x-intercept, and it's going to have the opposite slope. So I already know that the slope is going to be positive because my original one is negative. So let's take a look at the line, the graph. So you can see the black line here is my original equation. And then when I reflect it across the x, it's this red line. So the red line, we can write the equation as k of x is 2x. And then you can see down here, my intercept is negative 3. The second one is a reflection across the y, so that is the blue line. So I have the same y-intercept, but again, I have the opposite slope. So my equation here is opposite slope, so y equals 2x, but my intercept is the same, my y-intercept. So looking at these, we need to determine whether it is over the x or over the y. So in this first one, the negative is outside, so it's going across x. This one, the negative is on the outside, so it's going across x. This one, the negative is on the inside, so it's going across y. This one, the negative is on the outside, it's going across x. This one, negative on the inside, it's going across y. This one, the negative is on the inside, so it's going across y. Negative is on the outside, so it's going across x. And last one, the negative is on the inside, so it's going across the y. So is negative f of x a reflection over the x or the y? It's on the outside, so it's going over x. is f of negative x, a reflection over the x or y. Since it's on the inside, it's going across the y.